Now back on the topic on real and rational numbers, let's take a look at checkpoint 2.2a. Okay, now they're asking you to solve negative 8 minus 3. So you're actually using numbers, okay, involving negative. Now how do we actually better understand how do we do negatives? You know, it is a very common thing for students to be really confused. So I always advise you to actually use a timeline. Alright, again, indicate a 0, indicate a negative and a positive location. So write out where negative 8 would be. So let's approximate negative 8 will look somewhat like that. Now, what does negative 8 minus 3 means? Now, 3 indicates units. Am I right? So, minus indicates what? Means I want to remove. So, I'm trying to tell you I want to remove 3 units. That's what they're trying to say. Okay, where am I? Okay, I am, alright, look at this. This is me. I am located at negative 8. I want to do what? I want to remove 3 units. I want to move backwards by 3 units. So, whenever you see a negative, okay, always remember, you are moving towards the left, this manner. Okay, so let's move 1, 2, and 3. What will you get here? Okay, you have negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, and then negative 11. Alright, so what does this tell you? It tells you that negative 8 minus away 3 would give you a negative 11. And what can you learn from here? Okay, you can learn that negative, okay, minus away negative will eventually give you a positive number. That means it's a positive analogy. Positive meaning to say technically it's just 8 plus 3, but there is a negative in front. Okay, so please be very careful about it. Now, if you're still confused, let's take a look at part B. Okay, now part B, they're asking for what? They're asking for negative 8, again 0, negative 8. Okay, they want you negative 8 minus away negative 3. Means I am now here negative 8. This is me. Okay, I want to remove 3 negative units. So this is 3 negative units. That's what they're trying to say. So when I again say remove, right, it is by the left. But I want to remove away 3 negative units. Means what? I don't want away 3 units. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this tells you when I have a negative, it gives you a positive, right? Okay, so this technically means that it is a positive which asks you to move to the right. Okay, so always remember, positive is moving towards the right hand side. Okay, if they ask you to remove away 3 negative signs, means out of the negative 8, I don't want the negative 3 inside this negative 8. So eventually I will get an answer that is negative 5. So if you look at it clearly, negative 8 minus away negative 3, eventually it just looks like this. So you will get a, sorry, this is a plus 3. So you eventually get a negative 5. Okay, negative 5 as your final answer. So always remember, okay, use this answer at the end. Don't just give your answer in your timeline, because this is a very common mistake that students always make. Okay, so now let's move on. Okay, let me erase this. Let's move on. Now these are very simple numbers. They're very small numbers that you can actually find using your timeline. However, what if you are given a number that is so big that you can't even draw them on a timeline, correct? How long do you want your timeline to be? Multiple papers long? That's not possible, right? So let's take a look at 2.2b. Okay, 2.2b question 3. You have 13 minus away negative 54. So 13 minus away negative 54. Okay, and then this is the first step. And then I'll take first step plus my negative 9. So let's work this out first. I have 13. I want to move to the left side, correct? I want to remove negative 54 of it. So, okay, I would have a positive 64. Remember just now I went through negative equals to positive. So this technically gives you a positive number because I want to remove 54 portions. Okay, so once you have 67, what happens is you continue. So you have negative minus away 9. So you plus negative 9. And what would this give you? It gives you a 58. So does it make sense, right? I am at position 13. I want to remove negative 54 signs. Means I want to remove, okay, move towards the right, correct or not? By 54 units. And then I want to plus, that means I want to move to the left by 9 units. So eventually you will get a number that is somewhat like 58. Okay, so the answer over here should be 58. Now then let's look at part B. Okay, part B tells you that negative 74 plus negative 46. Remember just how we went through? Negative and negative total gives you a positive, right? So I have negative for 74 plus a negative 46. This gives me a negative 120. And then again, see, remember I break this apart and I say I want to take this number and minus another 120. So eventually minus again gives you a plus, right? So you have a negative 240. So eventually your answer will be negative 240 over here. Okay, now in a case, or rather in a situation where you're a bit confused, always check this using your calculator. And always remember, in your calculator, remember your brackets. Okay, don't be lazy and then not draw your brackets, because in your calculator, if you just draw it, or rather you can just write it in this manner. Okay, you can have negative 74 plus negative 46 minus 120. Yes, you still get 240. Okay, however, I do have students who end up writing numbers, all right, that will look like that. So it depends on what kind of calculator you're using. Okay, some calculator will automatically do a bracket for you, but some they don't. So please remember, okay, they will probably just indicate this as a negative 54 plus negative 9, right? So in your calculator, some calculators will actually refer to it as this. Okay, so please be really careful. This does not happen. Okay, so always remember, check your answer using your calculator by putting your brackets. No matter what calculator you are, your brackets won't fail you. So put your brackets at the correct place. Okay, don't let your calculator do the work for you. Okay, you can only use it to check in this case. All right, now then let's take a look at 11. Now give two examples of a pair of numbers P and Q such that P minus Q is negative 7. Okay, so let's see. What if you are looking at negative numbers, what minus what would give you a negative 7? Now remember just now we mentioned that a negative number minus away a negative number is technically adding up this number. So if let's say I have a negative 5 minus negative 5, what would I get? I would actually get a negative 7. So what does this tell you? This tells you that P can be negative 2 and Q, now important things to note, so is Q a negative 5 or is it a positive 5? Q must be a 5. Why? Because in your question, they already gave you a negative sign. So therefore, it is negative 2 minus away 5 to give you negative 7. Okay, so please take note for this. That is example number 1. Now then they're looking for example number 2. Same thing. What makes up 7? 3 and 4. Correct? So same thing. I will have, right, negative 3 minus away 4. So negative 3, I minus away 4, I should get a negative 7, right? So again, the same thing applies. Negative 3 would mean that this is P. However, what about your Q? Q must be a positive Q. So Q equals to 4. So therefore, when you write your answer, okay, example number 1, your P can be a negative 3 when Q is 4. Then example number 2, P can be a negative 2 when Q is 5. Okay, so please take note of what the question gives you, because I foresee students will actually be confused and write negative Q as your answer. So that's wrong, okay? Now, give two examples of a pair of decimals that have a sum of negative 0.36. So again, okay, a sum. Sum means addition. All right, negative 0.36. What plus what gives you negative 0.36? Let's see. I have negative, I have 0.12, negative 0.12, then minus of 0.24. Okay, that's one of the example. So example number 1, I have negative 0.12 minus of negative 0.24. What is the other one? All right, I have negative 0.30 minus away negative 0.06. Okay, so I have negative 0.30 minus of negative 0.06. Now, however, the question is asking they have a sum. So make sure you represent your answer and you're working this way. Plus a negative 24. And then another one is negative 0.3 plus a negative 0.06. Okay, so how would you express your answer in this manner? Now, this is a little bit different from part 1 because they didn't give you the positive and negative. Am I right? So what will you do? All right, you will say that first pair of decimals would be negative 0.12 and negative 0.24. Whereas the second set of numbers will be negative 0.3 and negative 0.06. Okay, so that concludes, what are the main questions or direct questions that you will encounter when you're looking at negative numbers.